This time, we are replacing the system kitchen and renovating the LDK interior. The kitchen is a cherished place filled with family history. For the client, it's a deeply meaningful renovation, something that doesn't happen often in a lifetime. However, we never imagined that this renovation would take such an unexpected turn. The screws securing the hanging cabinet had deteriorated and stripped, so we used a multi-tool to cut out the back panel and remove it. This kitchen has an additional wall with a stainless steel countertop installed. Normally, the kitchen unit is attached directly to the wall. The piping has been installed within the added countertop, making it easier to maintain. After the demolition, gas and plumbing contractors are scheduled to work. So instead of removing the equipment, we decided to cut it out forcefully. Bosch cordless reciprocating saw, 180 equipped blade, for hard-to-cut materials. We are removing the reinforcement materials supporting the countertop. We are cutting the nails instead of pulling them out with a crowbar to avoid damaging the gypsum board. This house was built using the 2x4 construction method. All the nails used are thick and the structure is simple. In modern homes, screws and adhesives are used extensively, making demolition quite challenging. Next, we will partially demolish the tiles around the window. Water has seeped in under the window, damaging the underlying structure. Since the tiles are attached, we need to carefully break them. It's not perfect, but we managed to remove the window's underlying structure. We will wrap the kitchen panel around the window frame. We will remove only the tiles so that the panel fits neatly into the sash angle piece. Makita 18V Cordless Multi-Tool Starlock Max. Partial demolition while keeping the existing structure is a very difficult task. Next, we will partially remove the gypsum board to install a base for the ventilation fan. At this point, we feel like tearing everything down and replacing all the gypsum board. But due to schedule constraints, we will keep the demolition to a minimum. We will shave the protruding part of the window frame with an electric planer and use it as a base. We're debating whether to demolish all the tiles or apply plywood over them, or perhaps just remove the tiles alone. Kazu is contemplating the options. After the kitchen demolition, we will temporarily lay the floor plywood. We need to lay the plywood first, so we can bring up the water supply pipes to the designated positions. This kitchen is being installed by the manufacturer, so material selection and installation of the main unit are the manufacturer's responsibility. We will proceed with the base construction, following their instructions to prepare for the main unit installation. We will temporarily fix the plywood with specialized screws. We will cut out the plywood in the floor storage area. In every field of work, there are deadlines. Everyone involved in the work must first adhere to the deadlines. However, if unexpected events occur, it is crucial that everyone involved responds flexibly and always takes the best possible measures. On the first day, everything went smoothly, just as we had envisioned. After completing the water supply piping for the kitchen, we will now secure the floor plywood. This falcata plywood feels a bit soft. We will screw down any joints that seem prone to creaking. The plywood base for the floor is now complete. Next, we will carry out electrical work for the kitchen, including the ventilation fan, lighting, automatic faucets, and wiring for the microwave and refrigerator. 2x4 homes have no gaps in the ceilings and walls. This makes relocating electrical wiring during a renovation extremely challenging. After completing the electrical work, we filled in the gap between the tiles and plywood, thus finishing the wall base construction before kitchen installation. We cleaned off the grease on the tiles to prepare for attaching the kitchen panels over the existing tiles. Next, we will remove the baseboards on the living room side. The client previously DIY'd the flooring here, adding extra layers of flooring. At that time, they left the baseboards in place, so it wasn't possible to remove them. This is the current situation. The baseboard nails are positioned lower than the surface of the new floor, making them very difficult to remove. If we forcibly remove the baseboards, it will ruin the floor and take a lot of time. Therefore, we decided to cut the baseboards right at the edge of the existing floor. We taped off the area to protect the floor and carefully cut it with a multi-tool. The baseboards extended into the wall. They were installed before the wall was placed over them. Prefabricated baseboards are usually 6 mm to 12 mm thick at most. The gap between the wall and the floor is up to 17 mm. Since such thick baseboards don't exist, we considered cutting and painting solid wood. But thick solid wood baseboards would look too unnatural in that room. So, we decided to stack 2 prefabricated baseboards. We chose prefabricated baseboards instead of solid wood to avoid the hassle of painting and the risk of uneven finishes. Apply wood glue to the baseboards. Clamp them tightly together to create our special double-layered baseboards. Once the kitchen installation crew finishes their work, we, the carpenters, will complete the final touch-ups, marking the completion of the project. The day the client has been eagerly awaiting for the kitchen installation has arrived. However, an unexpected problem occurred. The kitchen panel is too short. This kitchen was ordered at a height of 8.2 to suit the petite client. But it seems the installers mistakenly assumed the standard height of 8.50 metrim and installed the panel. The installation was abruptly halted, and although the installers promised to replace the panel later, removing a panel that has been installed once will damage the underlying gypsum board. In the midst of needing to decide on the next steps urgently, the kitchen manufacturer's sales representative was out sick, leaving us without any contact. Furthermore, the kitchen protection measures were insufficient despite being mid-construction. We requested the protection to be redone somehow. But the behavior of the kitchen installation workers during this process saddened the client. The once anticipated kitchen replacement quickly turned into a distressing event. The kitchen panel was out of stock, and the redo of the work was scheduled for half a month later. The client expressed frustration and said that if the handover was going to be delayed, they didn't mind having a patchwork panel. They shared their mixed feelings of frustration and resignation. Following this, there were ongoing disputes between the sales representatives and the installation workers, with each blaming the other. These unproductive exchanges continued. Despite this situation, we had to continue progressing with the work. We strongly requested a shortened construction period, arguing that the kitchen panel had to be available somewhere in the country. In the end, we managed to have everything ready by the final day of construction. We cannot halt the progress of the construction. We will proceed with the installation of interior windows, wall replacements, electrical work, and plumbing connections. All that remains are the final adjustments to the kitchen panels and the final finishing work by us, the carpenters. The final day of construction has arrived. We waited until this day to install the baseboards to ensure a clean finish with the kitchen panels. We waited until this day to install the baseboards to ensure a clean finish with the kitchen panels. Kazu was determined to make this a chance to redeem himself today. He felt that he owed it to the client to do the best job possible after causing them trouble. The custom double-layered baseboards are securely adhered. They are neither too thick nor too thin, just the right size, and they look good. We will finish the ends of the thick baseboards that extend beyond the window frame. Around 2 p.m. on the final day of construction, the kitchen workers came to touch up the kitchen panels. Since the panel couldn't be removed, they decided to overlay a new panel. Since the floor on the kitchen side is new, I will install single-layer baseboards as usual. The connection between the single and double-layer baseboards was perfectly aligned within the surface. The pin nails got jammed. Kazu is getting a bit frustrated. In fact, there was a minor dispute with the panel installation workers on the last day of construction. It wasn't about the mistake that was made, but about their attitude and careless remarks, where they refused to admit fault until the very end. Both the broken pin nailer and Kazu's anger were at their limits. Well, To be fair, we, as the main contractors, are ultimately the most responsible. We don't have time. We must keep working. Since this floor is meant to be replaced someday, it's not fixed with glue or nails. As a result, the floor is uneven, making it hard to align the baseboards.
ダメか。ダメならダメっつって。ダメ？
あ、ここの高さが
もうちょっとか。
合ってないっていうだけで角度は合ってる気がする。
この子をもうちょい切ったるといい感じか。
If we attach the baseboard while the floor is floating, gaps will appear later, so we push it down as much as possible while attaching it. Kazu seems bothered by this slight misalignment.
苦労する先だっただけだったんだな。
I was more bothered by the tape that was stuck to Kazu's elbow the entire time. Ideally, baseboards should be installed before applying the wallpaper, but since there was a touch-up needed for the kitchen panels, we had to install them at this timing. The living room was crowded with me, Kazu, the client who occasionally joined, 3 kitchen workers, the kitchen manufacturer's supervisor, and the materials supplier. It's better if no mistakes happen, but when many people are involved, it's hard to avoid them entirely. The important thing is that everyone focuses on recovery when mistakes occur. We will have many opportunities to apply these lessons in the future. But for the client, such opportunities don't come often. We must keep that in mind. In the evening, the kitchen workers successfully completed the touch-up on the kitchen panels. Finally, the baseboards were attached to the panel edges, marking the completion of the project. At around 7 p.m., we removed the floor protection sheets. We managed to bring it to a livable state. Although there were various challenges, the detailed finish turned out well, and it wasn't because the kitchen installers were lacking in skill. Additionally, the kitchen itself is of excellent quality and trustworthy. We are delighted that the client can enjoy wonderful times with their family in this new kitchen. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel.